Hey, it's Marina, travel experta. Today, we're going to be talking about a really cool day trip outside of Oaxaca. It's to see petrified waterfalls and really cool pools. Are you guys ready for an adventure? Let's begin. The place is called Hierve el Agua. Hierve el Agua literally means boil the water. And funny enough, when I started searching different tours to do outside of Oaxaca or day trips, not so much tours, you could totally do this on your own. And we did. I'll explain everything in a few seconds of how to get there and everything you really need to know. But you could totally do this on your own. Yes, you could also do it as a tour. It might be a little bit more fun, but pretty much, you could do it on your own. Anyways, so when I was looking for the different things to do and I found the information about Hierve el Agua, I started to search on it in Google because my Google is set to English the majority of the times. It kept on showing me boiling water. I'm like, what is this? Why is boiling water? But the actual, the literal definition the translation of Hierve el Agua is boil the water. So that's why it came up like that. And if you guys do that, you'll probably find the same kind of thing in the beginning. Anyways, Hierve el Agua is an entire day trip. So the cool thing about if you do it with a tour, they add other little attractions to go with it because it's a 9-hour tour that way. But if you do it on your own, you could pretty much do it in 6 hours. So it's approximately a 2-hour drive from Oaxaca Center. We ended up we went halfway because we went to a really cool market, Toluca Market. Make sure that you guys listen to, I have a whole podcast episode about that area because it is a pretty popular market. So we drove to that section and then we took a taxi from there because we were told that the roads are dirt road and a little bumpy, and we didn't really want to destroy our car because mainly we are still driving around Mexico. We have like another 1,000 or 2,000 kilometers that we want to put on our car. So we figured let's maintain the car, not take it on dirt roads. We ended up using a taxi part way. So they drove us from halfway of Oaxaca and back. And that literally cost us like round trip $80. So here's the thing. When we were told the price, there are two ways to get to Hierve el Agua. There is the toll road, and I have an entire episode about driving in Mexico, so make sure you go and listen to it. But tolls are a thing in Mexico, and they are not cheap. There's a toll road, which could get you there probably half of the time, and then there's the mountain road. So we took the toll road there, and that was not included in the price of the cab, so we had to pay extra. It was like $5 or $6 for the toll. And I mean, it's a beautiful road. It really goes quickly. And then you have to get to some village that claims the road before Hierve el Agua, and that's it was like $1 per person, 20 pesos more per person, just to enter their village. You will find this quite a lot all over Central America. In Mexico, we have found it more often than other places, but whatever it is. And a lot of times you're wondering, well, who's actually making the money from this, right? Like, who's putting this money? Because it's not really mandated. It doesn't matter. The point is, you have to pay for that. So that's an extra cost. And then you finally get to Hierve el Agua. And if you take the toll road, there really is no dirt road at all. It's really easy to get to. And then you have to pay for the entrance into Hierve el Agua. In this case, it doesn't matter which road you'll take. It's 50 pesos per person, which is about it's about $3 per person to enter. Not that expensive. Kids under 11 are free. And there's only one parking lot, and it is filled with these little comedores and places where you could buy beer and micheladas and coconuts. I guess that's the thing there because it was everywhere. And so the place is incredible. I actually did not even understand this. The pictures that I've seen was that it's just these pools, these really cool pools, because I didn't understand the interpretation so well. I thought it was hot pools. On the contrary, they're quite cold. But it doesn't matter because it's so hot that you embrace the cold waters. However, what makes this place remarkably magical is, first of all, it's in the middle of absolutely nowhere. In the middle of nowhere. And it is these petrified, I'm not kidding you, petrified waterfalls that probably took millions of years to form. So it's not an actual waterfall, it's a petrified waterfall. And the view is spectacular. So there is a hike to get to the petrified waterfalls really up close, so you could really get the view and see this monumental landmark. It's incredible. And then you got to go all around to the actual pools, which is like, they call them the water, eye of the water or something like that. So there are two trails, right? I would personally really recommend doing both. I would recommend starting with the petrified waterfalls, because by the time you get to the water, you are so hot that you are just ready to hop into the water. And then you could enjoy your time at the water. We went during the day because we actually went on New Year's Day. So we had to sleep in a little bit, obviously, from the night before. And it was really crowded. What it is really recommended is if you could do it in the morning. I personally did not feel like getting up at 6 a.m. to get there 8. It is open. But if you are an early bird, that it's actually in your benefit, because you probably will be very few people. We were there. It became quite full of people. But it's big enough that you don't really feel it that much. Anyways, so that's pretty much what Hierve el Agua is. So the actual time in the place, you only really need maybe 2 hours at most. But it's because of, you need 2 hours to get there, 2 hours hanging out, and then 2 hours back. That's where it adds up. Now, we did the mountain road going home simply because we wanted to check it out and we didn't want to pay another toll. And the mountain road literally takes twice the time, and it is slow. But if you're into the scenic route and seeing all these tiny little villages, and a lot of them felt like ghost villages, it's an interesting experience, right? To go through these towns. So it was kind of good. In that respect, we kind of got the full feel of the place. Now, if you have the time, I really do recommend going there. But if you're only in Oaxaca for like 3 or 4 days, there's way too many other things for you to do. We were in Oaxaca for 9 days, so we certainly had the time. We allotted the time for doing this trip. So that's why it's recommended to really structure your time and not to give up a day of actually Oaxaca. I personally would really recommend spending that time in Oaxaca. Oaxaca has so much to offer. I have an entire post about Oaxaca and the markets, and you usually need 1 day just for the markets in Oaxaca and other days just to walk around. It's an incredibly beautiful city. And also to do a mezcal tour. I have an entire podcast about the mezcal tour. So if you had a choice of doing a mezcal tour or Hierve el Agua, I would definitely recommend the mezcal tour, simply because it's a lot more part of the culture of Oaxaca. It is literally everything is around mezcal in Oaxaca, and also the food, obviously. But if you had a choice between those two, go for the mezcal tour. And if you guys have been to Hierve el Agua or have done other cool day trips from Oaxaca, I would love to know. If you enjoyed this podcast, please leave me a review, share it with your friends, and remember to make every day an adventure.